Hey there, Sagittarius. So it is the new moon today, the new moon in Leo. Happy new moon to you. And this is the start of the next 2 week forecast from new moon to full moon. So I'm going to be taking you by the hand right the way up to the full moon in Aquarius on the 9th of August. Now, this is I think quite an interesting time for you. I always find that the new moons in the same element as your sign are really, really helpful. And so, with the Sagittarius energy, which is fire, and this new moon in Leo, which is fire, this is bound to be an inspiring time. Now, during this 2 weeks, there's a lot of really strong planetary energies, and there's quite a few big themes going on right now. And one of the big themes I really see coming up is this unmasking, this kind of unmasking of ourselves as we become less inhibited. That's very much a new moon in Leo thing, as we get back onto our purpose, our mission, and into our present with a sense of playfulness and with a sense of light. This is a time where we're shining the light into any of the dark regions within our unconscious mind. And so I really see this sense of emergence coming up. And as such, there's 3 key questions I'd really like to hopefully work out for you as I do this forecast. And one of them is, what is the truth that I am or you are remembering beneath the noise? What is your truth beneath the noise? Like the noise, the distractions around us right now. There's so many. It's very, very difficult to find peace if you're not consciously looking to feel peace. The second question I've got for you is, what part of you is returning right now? So is there a sense of a part of you that is returning, that's got strength, that's got softness, that's got a sense of wisdom? Because if there is, that's really right on with the themes. And also, where have you been hiding, and what happens when you stop hiding? And so I think that's quite a powerful question to ask. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be looking at the whole moon flow, the planetary pictures, and also the 2 charts, the new moon and the full moon chart, from your perspective as a Sagittarius. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name's Louisa Tanner Munson. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. Hope you like it. And if you've come back, then thank you so much. Obviously, I love that. I love your trust in me. So I'm just going to load up my favorite slides. And before I get going, I just want to say a quick shout out and a thank you to everybody that helps to keep my channel going. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, I want to describe just right at the start the sort of energy between the new moon to the full moon. So the new moon is all about, I think, a clean space, a clean sheet, the sense that there's nothing really competing for your attention. This is the calm. This is the aftermath. This is after the last great big creation. You come into this kind of rest point, and that's where I really think we're picking up from, this sense of rest, this sense of space, so that we can start again. I always think that intentions are a really big part of the early new moon phase, and a bit like when you sow a seed into some soil. You have to wait a couple of days, sometimes a week or 2, to actually see a little seedling come up. And you don't move it straight away. You don't transplant it immediately. You wait for it to grow roots and to get a little bit stronger, to grow a leaf or 2. I mean, anyone with green fingers will know that you don't just uproot a tiny, tiny little seedling. You allow life to collaborate. So you let the wind, not the wind, you let the sun and the rain do its part to help collaborate and co-create with this particular plant. And that's what's going on with you and your intentions. When you try to force everything with your own energy, doing it all on your own, and you don't leave anything for the magic of life to intervene. Maybe life is about to give you something. Maybe life is about to put something fortunate in your path. And this, I think, is all very much about the first part of the waxing moon phase. It is about holding the intention, holding the energy of it, but opening up. So some of life comes in and some of life comes in to help you. Now we get to the first quarter phase, and then there's a choice point. It's like, are you going to continue what you've already started growing? And if the answer to that is yes, then all of a sudden it feels like there's more illumination coming in, there's more opportunities, there's more information, more people, more money, more this, that, and the other. And as we get closer and closer to the full moon, it tends to spin faster and faster. It just feels like the energy, the emotions, everything is raising exponentially. And as we get to the full moon, then we're in a full sort of manifestation phase. And so that's the kind of moon phase we're in. We're in this steady growth. The first week is more sort of unconscious and creative. And the second week, we are motoring. We're going at quite a speed. And in particular, this full moon is really zippy. It's full of really high energy. It's so much so that, when I analyzed the most important parts of this planetary picture over the next 2 weeks, the 3 most important days, funnily enough, were the day of the new moon, the day of the first quarter, and also the day of the full moon. And that is also because they all share something in common. And that is that the Saturn and Neptune conjunction is aspecting something exactly on the day of the new moon, exactly on the day of the first quarter, and also the full moon. So there is a very strong theme, and the Saturn and Neptune conjunction has a lot to do with it. So I will be talking about that at quite some pace. However, I also do want to mention that Venus is going into Cancer. She's going to make a beautiful applying conjunction as we get closer and closer to the full moon. And that is great because it's making the conjunction to Jupiter, your ruling planet. You can't say better than that, really, can you? And then Mars is going into Libra, which I think is going to be quite refreshing coming out of the sign of Virgo. I have to say, Mars isn't very strong in the sign of Libra. However, he is going to make some really quality connections. So there's a lot to look forward to. If Mercury is a strong planet in your chart, then the Mercury cazimi could also be very, very helpful. That's taking place on the 31st of July to the 1st of August. As ever with a Mercury cazimi, there's about an 8-hour window on this, and all the details of that will be below in the description field. So yeah, there's a lot to look for. So if we have a look now, then this is the new moon in Leo chart, and you can see it's from a Sagittarius perspective. And if I go into the full moon in Aquarius chart, this is also from a Sagittarius perspective. What you'll see is that we've got oppositions from the 3rd house in a sign of Aquarius and the 9th house in the sign of Leo. You can see it there. There we go. And there again. It's interesting, actually, because the sun and the moon are in an exact opposition to Pluto at the start. And at the end of this forecast period, you'll find that Mercury retrograde is in an opposition to Pluto. So, yeah, we've got this kind of interesting, almost like a repetition of patterns. Mercury retrograde and and the sun and the moon are all kind of working in this polarity with Pluto across the 3rd and the 9th. Now, to me, the 3rd house is representing what is known and what is local and what represents a sense of belonging in our childhood. In particular, the things we learnt as this is how life is, this is what society looks like, and so on and so forth. And then up here, this is the unknown, this is the foreign, this is kind of exciting. It's not the narrative, this is the narrative, this is anything but the narrative. And the 9th house has a lot to do with broadcasting, sharing, learning, going deeper into a new context, the philosophy, the politics, the religion, the spirituality. This is a place of expansion. Really big expansion. And so this new moon, I think, in the 9th house that we're starting this forecast from is really opening you up to something much bigger, a much bigger potential. Now, is it about learning or teaching? Is it about sharing? What's going on in terms of the way you see the world? Has that changed? Is your worldview about to sort of crack open and expand in a whole new and surprising way? Because something is occurring in this part of your chart. You might also get the sense that it's time to up sticks and move. This is a very, very sort of strong energy over the next 2 weeks, really affecting the 3rd to the 9th house polarity, from the known to the unknown, the local to the far away. People with a strong energy here often up sticks and move. So yeah, the energy to do something very different and unusual is really, really strong. Let's not forget recently that Uranus also came into this part of your chart. The 7th house is a place of partnerships, but Uranus is showing all things foreign, different, diverse, and eccentric. All things new, all things modern, all things kind of shocking. And so you may well find that your love of the new and your desire to sort of travel and move around and expand your consciousness and context also has something to do with an unusual person in your life. So that I think they work really beautifully together. Now, Pluto down here, I think, is really showing the resistance that you might have to expanding out. So, for instance, you might find yourself in this place of, I'm going to learn this, this, and this, and I'm doing this because it's going to teach me more about the world. And yet there is this stabilizing force, a controlling force down here, saying, oh, no, you can't do that, because if you do that, you're going to come out of the known experience that we share. So you might have old school friends, your siblings. This might be the kind of community you grew up in. And you might find that the moves you're making right now, the kind of new information that you're taking on board, is kind of not ripping you away necessarily from the seams of your security, but it's cracking open what you used to know in terms of safety. And now there are probably some gaping errors and some areas of curiosity where all of a sudden you're like, well, how does that work? That just doesn't fit in. That makes no sense. And so this is absolutely a common theme, in particular around the time of the full moon, because at that point you've got Mercury retrograde, like deep in thought, in thought in a new way, on a new track, really harking back to here. So I wonder, what is it about your childhood and the belief systems that you set up about your childhood, in your childhood, that may well be impacting, squashing, or attempting to control and direct your newfound expression, because your expression needs to be heard in the way that it's coming through, not in a controlled and contrived way. I don't think you need to make anything easier for anyone else. This is about how you make things easy for yourself. Truly, information, communication should be free for you to use and explore and enjoy. So, yeah, I do think there's going to be possibly some shocks in terms of what it is that you want to learn, but also in terms of what you're rebelling against, or that feeling that there's some resistance there. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on for you, but I hope that does make sense. Now, as we're coming up to the full moon as well, we've got this opposition down here. It's actually two oppositions. Mars is in the 11th house, which is really great for people who are social, who are building connections with people, friends of friends of friends. Mars here is really showing a lot of influence that you're coming into, and it's in opposition from Saturn and Neptune. Saturn and Neptune, Saturn and Neptune, they are long-term residents now of this part of your chart. And really, they're here to help you take your skills seriously, to help you take what you're passionate about seriously, and to give you a sense of the transcendence and to bring in some spirituality to what it is that you're passionate about. Now, this could include like love and children and things like that. But I'm really seeing, in this opposition to Mars, I'm really seeing this sense of performance, especially seeing as the exploration that's going on here also feels a little bit like it might have something to do with your performance. And so I think here there's this really strong need for you to feel like you're doing it on your own, because when you're doing it on your own, you're able to maintain the quality, you're maintaining your overall vision. And yet Mars up here is so strong. Again, he's not strong in his sign, but he is absolutely challenging anywhere where you're holding on to things in a particular way, because Mars's energy is like dynamite. He's linked into Uranus, he's linked into Pluto. He's going to absolutely get things moving, because Mars and Pluto together and Uranus is about speed. It's about efficiency. It's about innovation. It's about computers for sure. But this deep sense of transformation. And look, it's going from your third house, your seventh, to your 11th. These are all the social houses, from local groups to partners and friends, to friends of friends and friends, and your tribe. And so there is this really beautiful sphere of influence, and it is fitting in with what you are learning, what you're sharing, what you're growing. This is fantastic. But I do think this Mercury retrograde does need to be seen out. You do need to get the sense that you've got the full lesson of Mercury retrograde. And I don't think he goes direct until the 11th of August, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's fine. Remember, I'm in a different time zone possibly to you. So my 11th might actually be your 12th. But yes, Mercury retrograde is definitely working in your favor and allowing you to go beyond what you're expecting. So this is, I think, exciting. Now, I do want to point out a couple of things, because obviously Jupiter is your ruling planet, and Jupiter is currently in the 8th. This is lovely, in fact, because, you know, Jupiter is, I think, showing where we might have guilt issues, resentment issues, old embarrassments and things like that to do with our family, to do with the family we grew up with, to do with inheritance, to do with family money, family assets, also partner assets, partner money. I mean, it's quite a difficult place, but you've got Jupiter and also your taxes. You've also got Venus, who is also a sort of beneficial planet. These two coming in right at the end of this 2-week period, coming into an alignment in the 8th house, to me is an indication that whatever it is you're worried about, it's going to go okay. You'll be able to get it sorted. You know, no matter what is going on in this crazy world and all these different ways that you're feeling a little bit challenged, this particular full moon energy with this Venus and Jupiter conjunction in a trine, no less, to the North Node in your 4th house, to me is showing you that you can A, get the support, B, have the influence. You can move beyond the guilt, the shame, the blackmail, the feelings that you're not completely free to be yourself. And I think you can also get your money inconsistencies correct. You can tidy everything up in a very deep and powerful way. To me, this is the ultimate freedom. This is you releasing the binds of the past, the binds of the family, the heavy yoke of expectations that you might be sharing with people. To me, there is this sense of optimism that you can shrug off what's not yours, but mediate and find a way to be peaceful with what is. Now, this also could be a time when a lot of money is coming in from other means, not directly from you, but it almost feels like there's money coming in from all different avenues. There's lots of different opportunities. And so don't shut your partner out. Don't shut your family out. I think there are different things coming your way. And if you're too quick to shut it down, you're going to break down that energy. And I really recommend that you don't do that. Keep the energy flows open for the, for what seems impossible to be made absolutely possible. So I think this is very exciting. The last thing I think I want to share with you, and that is just around the first. Venus is going to be in a square with Saturn and Neptune. And this could be a time when you feel a little bit down in the dumps. You could feel a little bit challenged. You might feel very, very judged, and also quite lonely in doing what you're doing, in terms of the creative process you're in. You might just feel a little bit disillusioned, like you're disconnected from loved ones. They don't understand what you're doing. Just absolutely give it a couple of days. Don't take that reading as if it's the truth, because it's not. It's just how you're feeling and judging it right now in this moment. But it could just be half a day and it clears. To me, I think the more you can stay in a positive frame of mind and know that Jupiter and Venus come together right at the end of this full moon, I think that will be very beneficial for you. Last thoughts then is that I also record a romance forecast and also a career and ambition forecast. And just in this particular release, I'm sharing little excerpts of each for you. So if you stay tuned and watch the video straight after this, you need to click on it, by the way. But if you watch the video straight after this, you'll get another few nuggets of information that are going to help you in this 2-week period to do with your love and your relationships and intimacy, and also to do with knocking it out the park in terms of your career. So much love to you. Catch you another time. Bye for now.